This is the First and Gold podcast presented by Irish Tribune. I am Clayton Stoller. This is Connor Reagan. Connor, did I miss anything over the weekend?
No, just hanging out. Mostly peaceful weekend, mostly meditation, prayer, some quiet time to myself. Zero TV time. Nothing really on television.
Yeah, that's typically what happens. It was a pretty lazy weekend for me. Did a little binge on Netflix, looked into some Mafia history. Oh, wait! I almost forgot about what happened on Saturday. Folks, let me key in on something here today on this beautiful live stream that we're doing today on a beautiful Thursday evening. I can't necessarily say that I'm at my best. It has been a hell of a week at work. Just the perfect week after what followed on Saturday.
Very interesting. Nightmares as you black them out.
It's been brutal. And here's what we're gonna do. Okay, let's just put it on the table. Okay, this it's probably going to be our longest podcast in the history of podcasts. It may not be our shortest. It may not be our most professional. But it's going to be as genuine as we could possibly bring it. And here's the deal. We can talk about journalistic integrity. We can talk about all that nonsense. And that is true. There is validity to that. But I have to say that the best that we could bring you is just our true and honest opinions, our closest to analysis that we could bring from Saturday. That's what we're going to try and do. Okay? Now, I'm going to start with Purdue. And I'm going to be really quick, and I'm going to be really brief, if you don't mind. Because this weekend is not about Purdue at all. But respect where respect is due. Purdue is a team this year. They're absolutely not what they were last year. They totally have a pulse. They're led by quarterback Ryan Brown. A very solid performance against USC, and at times, like an exceptional performance by Ryan Brown. Devin McAbee is their leading running back. Ahmad Branch is leading them in receiver yards, but Nitro Tuggle definitely has plenty of hype to follow him, and a awesome recruiting rap sheet to follow that. I think that their defense absolutely has a little bit more fire. The thing that kind of stands out while watching the USC game back is just the fire. They have something behind them. There is substance to Purdue this year. I don't think that Notre Dame necessarily has any quote-unquote cupcakes moving forward on this schedule. The hardest part of their schedule is probably over, but I would not categorize Purdue as like just this easy lay-down opponent that, hell, going into last year, we didn't really think that they were an easy lay-down opponent last year, but they have more to back that up this year. So, guys, look out. Ryan Brown, he's a good quarterback, could exploit this secondary. I can't even believe I'm saying that. Led by Barry Odom coming from UNLV, came from a dynamic offense, bringing some life to this Purdue offense currently. Look back at the USC game. It's kind of a fun game to watch. There was plenty that happened. They brought in Malachi Singleton a little bit. I think that as far as the receivers go, Mike Jackson, not a bad player at all. Made some really, really good plays against USC. Nitro Tuggle, again, someone that you need to look out for. Ahmad Branch, someone you need to look out for. The point that I'm trying to make here, guys, is that this isn't a team that you could just sleep on if you're Notre Dame. You can't sleepwalk through this game. Yeah, you could probably play your B game or C+ game and get away with the win, but that can't happen after what happened last weekend. And Connor, I'll let you just get some thoughts out there about Purdue if you have any. And then we'll just kind of dive into last weekend and just kind of go. We'll just go. You are on mute. No, it's all messed up. Yeah, I'll keep talking. Look, I'm actually going to be at the game coming up this weekend, and initially I was thinking about this game, and I'm like, I don't really know if this is really going to be, be a game of significance. But here we are again against Purdue, and it is yet again a program confronting moment, a mirror in the moment, or a man in the mirror moment for Marcus Freeman as we head into this one. And you didn't want it to be this way. You thought that at the very worst, Notre Dame was going to split the first two games, and here we are 0-2. And I don't know if Connor's audio is back up and running. His audio might be like Chris Ash's defense right now. It ain't making any noise. We're gonna figure this out. We're live. I mean, this happens. I can remove you and add you back in if you want. I'm gonna do that. Okay. Let's try again. No. Maybe it's me. I don't know what happened. I didn't mute his mic. Folks, I did not mute his mic. I'm not trying to silence Connor. Yeah, just leave and come back. That's fine. All right, so look, here's the deal, guys. I don't even know where to begin, right? Like, I don't even know where to start. I want to start with this. I'm headed out tomorrow to get to this game, right? I'm going to leave Thursday night. I've been living out of my suitcase for pretty much what you could consider the last few weeks. Connor, what's up?
Any luck? Can you hear
Yes.
me now?
Yeah, you actually sound better than you did originally.
Beautiful. I called Chris Ash. He had no answers for me, so I just ended up doing it on my own.
There you go. This all makes sense. I was making small talk with our 0 viewers on live stream, so it's all good. I mean, what a wild Wednesday. What the hell, dude? This is insane.
Yeah, curveball after curveball since the weekend, that's for sure. From what I remember, you asked me just my thoughts on Purdue. At this point, man, you know, I wanna be devastated about everything, but all I can say as far as Purdue is concerned is at this rate, not a team you can overlook. We saw what happened with USC. I think a couple of the vulnerabilities that we can go for is their passing defense. I think Carr has shown an ability to get the ball down the field. I think our receiving core was more effective against A&M than Miami. So I think there's a bit of a bright side as far as Notre Dame's offense going up against their defense. As far as our defense, you know, if I have to mine a positive out of this crew, I'd say it can't get much worse. So I imagine they should be able to, you know, contain Brown and Maccabee to a degree where they don't completely show out and go for, I don't know, 400 or 500 yards. That would be ridiculous. So I've eaten my words twice in a row this season. But I think this is one of those games where Notre Dame has to show up pissed off. I think they really thought the ship was going to get righted this past weekend, and that gave them a level of confidence I don't think that they deserved. So I think they're kind of at the bottom of the barrel now, and we're really going to see what this team's got going up against Purdue.
Yeah, you know, the initial thing and the thought that I have throughout this week is I thought I would feel better at this point. I thought I would feel better. And to be completely frank with you, I'm finding that the numbness that I had on Saturday, which was legitimate numbness, I can't even go into details about what I physically felt when that touchdown was caught at the end against Drake Bowen. Why Drake Bowen was in man-and-man coverage when KVA was on the sideline, arguably your best linebacker. Well, that's a different discussion that we could have here later down the line.
But it's not the scheme. It's not the scheme. It's execution, right?
Well, hey, now here's the other thing, though. And you know where I'm going with this. But hold on. Let's open up a can of worms.
This is what it's going to be like.
Yeah. So, hold on. Because here's the thing, man. I just feel worse than I did before, and I want to come in here and I want to be objective, and I want to be analytical, and I really do want to be that guy, but I can't be because
we have those unfortunately unfiltered raw emotions as well.
Oh man, and I did. By the way, $0 of property damage was done after the Miami game and after the A&M game. No hurtful words said. I watched that game with an A&M fan. One of their 4 fans I watched that game with. And I mean, as happy as he was and as devastated as I was, it was all class the entire game. I'm not even playing. We shook hands afterwards. Love you, brother. Good win for you. Enjoy it. Because I enjoyed it last year. Now it's tied 1-1. But this was more devastating than just about any loss that I've encountered. Probably, exactly. This is the problem with the Marcus Freeman era right now, right? This isn't like a fire Marcus Freeman comment. I'm just pointing out and offering to people that we've been here before. It's the look in the mirror moments that we have to continue to have, dating back to 2022 after the Marshall loss. And here we are again, 4 years later, in a situation that we should not be in at all. It was avoidable from day one. This podcast, before it was on YouTube, and it's not even on Apple, it's on Twitter. You can listen to it. I was flipping out about the Chris Ash hire because I looked at his track record. I looked at what ex-players had said about him, and also what ex-players didn't say about him. Not a whole lot of ex-players rushing to the microphone saying anything about Chris Ash. I looked at what he has done, the entire body of work, and I said, this is a problem. And I also have a problem about how this hire was arrived to, but I can't jump to those conclusions. I can't say that on a podcast. I'm just saying you wouldn't like it if you heard the backstory. Mm-hmm. If you were in one of my group texts, you would know. And I'm not saying I know for a fact, but I just know this. This was a massive mistake. And I think that I know the same thing that Marcus Freeman and all of Notre Dame Nation knows right now is that this was a mistake. Yep. This was a problem. This is the girl that you say, yep, this is going to be a problem. This is the girl that you tell, I love you, and you don't really mean it. This is the biggest mistake of them all. And when we've all made them. Well, this is Marcus Freeman's mistake. This is Marcus Freeman's Brian Van Gorder, except statistically, and by the film, it's even worse. Connor, we didn't even have to open up a Google Docs today to know what the stat is. You went from best to worst in the matter of 2 weeks.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause before this microphone goes through that window. And with it, all my credibility. Mm-hmm. All of our listeners.
We've got left of it, yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you what you think about this situation right now, with Chris Ash in particular, and then we'll kind of go into that a little bit.
We'll soften a little bit later. I think we just got to get some of these hot juices out.
I don't think we will. In fairness,
I really only have like 1 or 2 compliments, so we can brush through those at the end. But I really like your analogy about the girl that you say "I love you" to. For me, this is the girl you move in with too early because you need a roommate.
That's way better.
That's
way better.
That's the barrel I think we're staring down. I was talking to my father about it, and he was just like, it says everything that you need to hear. That we went from the single best man-to-man coverage team in college football last season to how implementing a zone-heavy defense made it through all of these different layers of coaching staff. That's an indictment in and of itself. You know, I mean, Chris Ash didn't hide what he was going to try and plan on doing when he got to South Bend, and that's why you were pissed off the jump. Like, whoa, what are we doing here, guys? Do you know who you're bringing in? And
Connor, I am so sorry to cut you off, dude.
No.
Literally, I was told he ain't coming in here to run Marcus Freeman or Al Golden's defense, even though he said on the podium, I'm not looking to change anything. Like, this is Notre Dame's defense, and we're going to continue doing, what they've done in the past. I'm just here to enhance it. So continue.
That would be even worse, honestly, if that's that was his intention, because then it goes to show he's got no middle ground. Like, he's doing something with players that were recruited to do something else. Players that have been in the system who have never done what he's trying to do, and he's applying a rubric to it that, like, after the Miami game, Marcus Freeman's press conference where he was like, well, yeah, I was a defensive coordinator. You come in with your style, and then you got to start to tailor it to the talent and guys that you get. I was like, hey, you know what? It sucks, but I agree with that. I understand the approach. What adjustments were made? What adjustments were made that did anything, or outside of awful adjustments, like you said, with Drake Bowen being in man-to-man with KVA on the sidelines? I don't understand the levels of scrutiny that his decision-making goes through before it hits the field, because it sure seems like none. And Freeman making the comment that, he may have to do some play calling. Yeah, you think, dude? Yeah, that's about the only thing that's going to save your season. And now, honestly, this sounds really bad to say, but I don't want this relatively easy next 10 games to be a cakewalk for Chris Ash's defense, to fool everybody into thinking that they're better than they actually are against subpar competition. And the second, if Notre Dame's lucky enough to make the playoffs, we get shown exactly what we've seen in the last 2 games against elite competition. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But Connor, like, it's always the eye test. It's always been the eye test. We'll be able to tell against Purdue if this defense is still that big of an issue, right? If it's still Chris Ash's defense, we're going to be able to tell. It'll be 40-27. That's what it'll end up being.
That would be unacceptable still.
But that's what it'll be. If it was still Chris Ash's defense, we'll know by the final score. We'll know by the film. And listen, if there are some lucky plays here and there, we're going to take that into account. We'll be charitable. We'll be fine. We'll be fair. But look, here's the reality of it. Marcus Freeman sees the same problem that we do. And so does Mike Mickens, so does Al Washington, so does Max Bola. They all see it. And by the way, so do the captains more than likely. So do the players more than likely see the same thing. Here's the thing. When it comes to just Chris Ash and this saga, that in my opinion, this is not based on intel, it's based on a gut feeling. The Chris Ash experience and the Chris Ash experiment, that ended after the A&M game. It was over. It's done. It's gone with the wind. Bye-bye. It's over. Yeah. It was super fugazi. It floats out with the wind. And it is gone. It's done. Now you have to pick up the pieces. You have to untangle the mess that has been made. And I hate the fact that we have to do this, but it's just the reality of it, okay? Right. You had a guy in the office that should have been the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, and it was Mike Mickens.
Yes.
They wanted to bring in a guy in Chris Ash to quote-unquote foster Mike Mickens, build him up, and get Mike Mickens ready for that role when you had that guy the entire time on the staff. It's called the head coach.
Yeah.
It's called the head coach. It's Marcus Freeman. Now you're in a position where Marcus Freeman has to do that because this ultimately lands on him, and nobody knows it more than Marcus Freeman. He knows. He knows.
I just don't know how he let it get to where it was last weekend. You know what I mean? After Miami, after a perfect example of what we were staring down the barrel of, a week off to, like you said, untangle the mess that was only created after one game. It's like one conversation was had on Monday after the Miami game, and they never talked about it again. It was like, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. And then, like, it didn't feel like Freeman knew the shit show that we were getting into until Saturday night.
Well, and that's the thing that we called out. I mean, I'm sure it's the same thing that they called out in the meetings. Like, Texas A&M is, like, pretty dynamic on offense, right? Like, this is, but, I mean, we called it. Like, this is a very fast receiver corps. Like, they're all speed. You know, Casey Concepcion, Cravers, Terry Bussey. All of them made plays. All the guys that we called out, that we said were going to make plays, made plays. Is there another factor in there as well that Devonta Smith ended up hurting himself in pregame warmups? Yes. Yes, it is. Of course it's a factor. Is another factor the fact that Christian Gray is on one shoulder right now, arguably? Yeah, that's a thing too. You could see it. You could see it all day. But the problem is, and this is a major problem, is that there is no conviction in what is being asked of these players. You could feel it. You could see it. You took one of the most physical, disciplined, gold standard defensive units in the country, and you have relegated it to this. Like, look, listen, I'm not. They are. I mean, barely. You know what I mean? Like, it's barely, and that's the thing. It's like, if I was hired to do a job and take over a good sales territory in my role, right? And it was doing, I don't know, $10 million a year. Mm-hmm. And I took it and I turned it into $1 million a year. I'd get fired. I'd get fired. And that's the thing, is that's where we're at right now. That's how bad it is. And I think that the whole decision was made. Now, I'm not saying that this was like why they went with Chris Ash, but I think that the reason that we see so much zone, although they did get beaten man, let's be real, the reason that we're seeing so much zone is Marcus Freeman did something that Brian Kelly did in his tenure. Mm-hmm. He saw, damn, we couldn't run zone. We were incapable of doing that against Ohio State. I got to fix that. And we're so talented, which he would be right, and that we're gonna run that against Miami and Carson Beck, because why would we worry about them, right? We're gonna run that against A&M because, well, listen, like, we're Notre Dame. It was hubris, it was arrogance, it was wrong. I think Marcus Freeman would be the first to admit it. I think Marcus Freeman admitted it in the press conference without y'all knowing it. Now, I floated out a tweet on our Twitter, on our X, whatever you want to call it, and I said, listen, he's saying it without saying it. Marcus Freeman, first of all, is never, ever going to throw anybody under the bus, right? No. Nor is No. Well, but here's the thing. No head coach is going to do that. Because why would you? If you do that, who are you going to hire? Every other coordinator, every other position coach is going to see that, and they're going to be like, yeah, I don't want to. So Marcus Freeman's riding this line, and you could tell the entire time he's grappling with it. Like, I want to tell the truth so bad, but I can't. Here's the deal about Chris Ash. You can wear the headset just like I'm wearing mine right now. And you could look like you look on the sidelines, and the check's going to clear. Other than that, stay out of the damn way. And I think
that's where we're going.
That is literally what I think, and what I might be hearing. I'm not saying it's concrete. No, it's not going to get out. But this is, I don't have sources. But I'm just telling you, it's not. I don't think it's Chris Ash's defense anymore. And how could it be? How could it be? When you went from what you were to what you are now, it can't happen again. Now here's the deal. If it looks like that against Purdue, they're going to use Chris Ash as a scapegoat. Why wouldn't you? It's a convenient, and that's the thing. Like if you're a head coach, you get to play with these pawns, right? As messed up as it is to say this, it happens in my job. I mean, I'm making defensive coordinator money, brother, and I'm not making head coach money. But you will use a scapegoat where it is necessary, and if the defense gives up, like what I'm saying, 40-27, right? I'm not predicting that yet. Just for the record, you are going to use that as a scapegoat, just like they used Chip Long as a scapegoat in 2019. All of a sudden, you get the articles that come out that Chip Long was abusive to players, right? And I look at this, and this is a moment for Marcus Freeman to really make the change that is necessary. And here's the thing that makes it different than Brian Kelly is I actually think Marcus Freeman is going to make those changes. He's gonna make the calls necessary to move forward, right? Brian Smith, he's a good podcast, really good podcast, and I'll make sure to drop that afterwards. He had said it. He was like, there's a lot of head coaches that are calling their offenses. There's a lot of head coaches that are calling their defenses. You just don't know it. Now I think that's something that Marcus Freeman's going to have to get back to. And if he doesn't, Marcus Freeman may... We'll get to that point. Marcus Freeman, he's subject to criticism. I'm not ready, just like after week 1, and I'm sorry for ranting, I'm not ready to throw Marcus Freeman under that type of a bus the way I wasn't ready to throw Chris Ash under the bus after 1 week. But now, the dominoes have fallen, my friend.
Right.
The dominoes have fallen.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel anywhere as good about the USC game that we're planning on going to. That's probably our next most dangerous team to go up against. And I'll just get it out of the way because it's a bit of a pity party over here. For me, the bright side was the offense, only because the defense was, again, incredibly disappointing. Honestly, I feel similarly confident in Carr. I mean, almost 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, kind of had his hand forced a bit. But again, for his second start against a top-ranked team, again, I can't really ask much more from a first-year starter. No. I was pretty happy with that. I think the rushing attack was far more balanced, whether or not they were getting him involved through the air or on the ground. Love almost hit 100 yards, had a touchdown and a receiving touchdown. Jadarian Price, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Like, you're giving that much work to the backfield. 1 touchdown, 1 interception from Carr. That's fine, So I was pretty pleased with that overall. But it was just too little, too late. It was like an old school Big 12 shootout. It was we may score 40 points, but they're going to score 41. I don't want to be that kind of team. Oh. And so that's why, I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle. We're not going to focus on it because it wasn't like, Carr didn't throw an interception and threw 400 yards and, both backs went over 100. Then I'd be like, okay, well, this was a legitimate bright spot. It's brighter because of how dim the defense was, but I felt pretty good about it. I mean, we had pretty decent, passing across the wide receivers and tight ends. Raritan with 4, Fields with 5, Love with 4, Greathouse with 2, Faison with 2, Pauling, first 2 catches of the season. only 13 yards, but something happened. KK Smith even caught a ball.
Yeah.
So, I will say against a good team, it's a pretty decent showing. That is about the end of where my compliments lie.
Well,
and special teams, don't even get me started on placeholding. I mean, look, we've had our qualms with Buckner in the past, but just can't happen. Just can't happen. It's not raining. Miami, it was god-awful weather, and they held the ball down. I feel bad that NBC followed him around with a camera, but if it wasn't for that complete beef holding the kick, it would have been a tie game. And I don't feel as confident in saying this as you were in saying it against Miami. But if it was a 6-quarter game, Miami-Notre Dame would have been Notre Dame's game. I don't know with this defense, and that's concerning. The bright spots from Miami got brighter. A couple of the dark spots on offense got brighter, but the lukewarm feeling about the defense turned to chilly.
Ice cold,
man. But it was explosive plays, dude. You can't handle an 86-yard pass down the field for a touchdown. That's not Notre Dame. And even if the coverage and the scheme sucked, there's too much talent in that secondary to be letting shit like that happen. It's just
well, and Connor, I mean, we all harken back to 2016 when we think about like what a bad defense looks like, because it's the last like really truly bad defense that we watched. This is far worse than that. Because those types of plays like are inexcusable, and they happen all the time. Over the last 8 quarters, they have happened all the time. And it is a way more talented group than what Brian Van Gorder had, right?
Yeah, you're turning diamonds into shit.
It's so bad. It's so bad. That, and that's the thing. I do want to talk about some of the bright points that you mentioned. I totally agree with you across the board. I do have something to mention, and this comes from someone that I listen to at Irish Breakdown, just some statistics that are out there, and I want to give homage where I can. But the offensive line still is kind of an issue. Like, it's still up and down. It's still lacking the physicality that it even had last year. So even the offensive line is regressing. Guys, listen to this. They ranked 19th last year in rush yards per game at 200.9 a game. They rank 116th right now at 114 a game. Rush yards per carry. They ranked 7th last year. They rank 116 now at 3.4 yards per carry. Tackle for losses allowed per game. We are 107th right now. We were 37th last year. And we are allowing 2.5 sacks a game and 110. That's good for a 110 ranking. We were 46 last year. Pass blocking rank, according to PFF, we're 126. Run blocking rank, we're 119th. We were 18th last year. And in pass blocking, we were 65 last year. So, now, pass blocking,
man.
it's all flipped on its axis, but it all points to the same thing. This is a poorly coached, really talented team.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the reality of it. This is a fun team to watch. Like the A&M game, dude. You could rewatch the A&M game and be like, "This is insane." Yeah. But the reality is that that's not how Notre Dame wins games. Like, you have a very talented roster right now on both sides of the ball. Chaos is not what wins games. That will lose you games, and we have seen that now. We have seen that. We have paid that price in full, in spades, over the last 2 weeks, because now you're in a position where you got to win out, and you got to look good. Yeah, it is. But here, I don't want to get too far ahead on that, but I will say this isn't going to get fixed overnight. It's not, and it's not going to get fixed. It's not going to get fixed against Purdue. But what we're asking for is we're asking for subtle improvement. I look back at Notre Dame's offense. I was looking for subtle improvement throughout the year. I'm looking for the same thing on the defense, and I think that there are obvious things that you can tighten up on offense. But I look at this. I look at this entirely, and I put it squarely on the coaches. I put it squarely on the highest paid offensive coordinator in the country, who has produced. He has produced points. He has produced good play calls, but there have been missteps. Let's be real.
As talent's gone up, his coaching ability or execution has gone down, and it makes that gap look even wider than it actually is.
That's the thing, dude. That's the thing, is that I think that this coaching staff, and I don't want to make this assumption, I'm sorry to make it, I think that this coaching staff was like, we're so freaking talented, like, do we really have the folk? Maybe. Maybe, because you know what? Human beings, they ultimately always deviate to average. I do the same thing. I'm jacked for a month. I'm getting fat right after.
Yeah, 100%.
I do really, really well with work for a month. Well, you start to get comfortable, and then the pendulum swings to the middle, right? That's what happened here. And I think Marcus Freeman knows that. And I think this team knows that. I think the staff knows that. And I hate to come on here, especially 5 days after a game, and rant and rave and just bitch and moan about what had went down and what has gone down. But this is necessary conversation, because these are the same conversations the coaching staff are going to have. These are the same conversations that the captains are going to have, not just with the coaching staff, but amongst themselves and with the locker room. These are conversations that are necessary. Okay? Now, what is it?
If you don't address the drop off, it's when after you've been ripped for a month, then you get fat again. It's that you sit yourself down, you're looking in the mirror, you're like, oh, dude, I've seen you do better, man. Do better. If you don't have that conversation, there's no bounce back.
Exactly. And I know there's no one more devastated about this than that roster. And I hate that happened. I actually look at Tyler Buchner as a victim, if that makes sense. Because we should never be in a position, here we are, in a position where we're talking about if this play went well, if this call was made, if the refs caught this. That right there, you know what that's a side effect of? Bad defense. Bad defense.
Right. You should never be in a position with that one call, and that's why I never gave anybody. I was at a wedding this past weekend, watching it on my phone on the dance floor, getting shit on for sitting at a table watching it. So then I got out there. I was like, I'm still holding my phone. Everybody was like, oh, there were some really terrible calls in there. I was like, there's terrible calls in every game, guys. What the issue was, like with the muffed plays holding, you're in a position where the margin for error is so slim because of the way you've poorly executed over the course of the game. If we were up by a touchdown, we could have handled one or two more bad penalties, or missed calls. But you're right. You're playing it so close to the line that, one muffed place hold is going to do it for you. It just sucks. He's the easy scapegoat in that situation. Oh, they missed these calls on the end of the game. They very well did. I'm not just being a homer saying that. The last couple drives there were some god-awful play calls.
A&M fans see it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Missed calls by the refs. I mean, the beginning of this entire week was every sports commentator I've ever seen, whether or not they address Notre Dame specifically, saying what the heck is going on with these college refs. It's getting worse. Yeah, that's true. But you know what? Great teams don't let things like that affect them, and this isn't a great team.
No, it's not a great team at all. It's a really talented team. And I got to tell you something. Furthermore, this is a team that is playing their asses off right now. They are playing their asses off. The film does not lie. Looking back at it does not lie. They're playing their asses off. Truly. They are putting it and laying it all out on the field, but they have zero confidence in what is being asked of them right now.
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, it is clear as day at the moment. I mean, listen, we want to talk about missed calls. We could talk about Texas A&M last year when Bo Collins decided to go crazy and push that freaking defensive back down after he gets a first down. You know that penalty would have devastated this team?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
But I think that 2024 team, they would have bounced back. They just had a little bit more behind them. They were more well coached. They were more ready for the moment. They rose to the occasion, and they're not right now. They're not. Right. They're not even close. And that's the problem. Is that I get emotional when I talk about bad defensive coordinator hires because it was addressable from the outset.
Yeah.
At no point was this unavoidable. But here we are. The same issue that we had stated in April when this hire was made, maybe March for all I know. It could have been February. I don't even know. But all the way back then, all these worries that we were talking about that were addressable then, they're rearing their ugly heads now. Mm-hmm. And so here we are, going into Purdue in yet another must-win situation against the Boilermakers. And look, I don't know what this game is going to fully look like. I don't know. You can't predict the game flow when you have bad defense, poorly coached defense. You can't predict what's going to happen. You can predict it so much easier when you have a defense that lays down the law and keeps things in control. That's not where we're at.
Offensive line along, they can build that confidence, give them some breathing space. It doesn't matter how talented or good at executing your offense is. Like, let's be real, ours is not quite where we want them to be yet, regardless of putting up 40 points. But when you're up against it from the first drive of the game, and other teams are scoring at will, your offense doesn't have a chance to regroup, put their head down, get something going. They're just trying to match points for points. And like you said earlier, Notre Dame is not a shootout team. They've never been a shootout team.
No.
And you can't – this is a bounce-back game, but what actually concerns me is not the opponent, is that we saw a bounce-back game already after a week off. Should have been even easier for the if Notre Dame had come out and put up 40 and kept A&M to 20, I would have been like, okay, that's the kind of ball I was expecting. Still room for improvement, but we've seen the bounce back, and it didn't go well. That's the credit, that's the leeway we were giving Freeman last episode was, hey, look, this is his thing. He's built for these scenarios. I understand it was an elevated level of competition. I won't take that away from the situation. Sure. But that's why we're like almost not interested in Purdue, because if you took all the points that we had in last episode preparing for this game and just swapped out A&M with Purdue, it would be the same exact episode, saying the same things over again. Mm-hmm. Got to execute this way. Got to prevent this. Focus on this more. Until they do it, we're going to sound like broken records, man. And yeah, it's not grade A competition, but the kind of, losing by 4 points over these two games does not make me feel any better.
No, it doesn't. Because, like you said, this isn't a shootout type program. I get that this offense has firepower. I know that this offense has the skill set to be able to hang with most anybody. Like, I look at this offense, I look at this team, and I say this team could hang with anybody because they just played two potential top 12 teams. But then I also look at it and I say this team could lose to anybody as well.
You're right.
And that's like if we played Georgia Tech.
Terrible matchup. Matchup for us. 100%.
How the hell does that happen after a year?
And for 215 yards.
That's all we're saying. And I mean, that's all we're saying. We've said a lot, but I just look. You can't be in a position where you're looking at 1 to 4 plays in each of your first 2 games and saying, well, if only for that, we would have been fine. Listen, that's crazy. That's not the standard. That's not at all what has been established here. That's not what's been built here. And Marcus Freeman and this program is looking down the barrel of a situation where you are going to erode very quickly in a massive flood, a breaking of the dam. You are going to erode all of the goodwill that you have built up by just this one hire. You do not want to be in a situation where in 2026 you have a article from Sports Illustrated with Marcus Freeman basically following him along saying, I had to look in the mirror. I had to fix what was broken. That's what they did with Brian Kelly.
Right.
And I got to tell you something. Those teams from 2017 to 2021, those are good teams. Those are good teams with good defenses, with good defensive coordinators all across the line. Mike Elko, Clark Lee, then Marcus Freeman.
Yep.
You don't want to be in a position like that where you have to freaking turn it around and it's too late to fix what this team has because there's too much talent. There's too much skill.
Hurt recruiting, man. If I'm looking at it going, it's the coaching situation is so volatile that they went from this, that to this, and that who knows, depending on who they decide to bring in, I could come in and be asked to do something completely different than what I was recruited to do there for. And like you said, that's the goodwill that Freeman has fostered over 3 full seasons. You can't have that conversation where I had to look in the mirror in year 4 after a national championship appearance. That's what makes this so upsetting and legitimately worrying, because it's like that goes to show the first break in consistency and steady improvement in the Marcus Freeman era is that you could go from that level of success to this point where we're questioning your team, the hires, the decision making to this level. And this team shows you that you can add talent to this. It doesn't mean it's going to get better. And that's the kind of thing that these kids who are juniors and seniors in high school or transfers right now are looking at going, yeah, I know I'm great, but would it matter if I show up? You're already losing. You're already losing in that scenario.
Connor, and that's the thing that hurts me most about these first 2 weeks, especially about this defense, is that I had stated at the outset of Miami week that this could potentially be a generational defense.
Yeah.
They're right now through 2 weeks, they are generationally bad. Bad. Like
you didn't specify, dude. This is on you, man.
No, that is true.
Kind of generational.
No, I did. I said that they were going to be better than the Georgia defense in 2021.
Oh man, Asian like bad like milk, dude.
It's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad. And so now we're in a situation where we have to untangle this. We have to pick up the pieces, and I think that there are some quick and easy fixes to this whole thing. I think, first of all, I'm not going to pretend to be Mr. X's and O's. I don't have a whiteboard back here. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying, let's get back to playing defense the way that we recruited these players to play. Okay? That's an aggressive man defense, where if we are running man, we're bringing pressure. We're not going to overcomplicate this. This whole thing is very simple. Connor, this is very simple. It's not us adding and enhancing more. It's peeling back. It's simplifying. Because if you simplify things for these kids, if you simplify things for these kids, you're going to be much more pleased with the result, right? That's what they're going to have to do. And also, let's not overthink the rotation here. Why is Jalen Snead a ghost right now? Why is KBA not on the field in the biggest moment of every game that we've played so far? It can't be that way. So we have to fix that. Now, to your point on the positives, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
I think this offense has the the capability of being really, really good. I think that they're already kind of there. They just have to clean up those mistakes. You can't. Listen. We said that
right now.
Absolutely. We said the CJ Carr experience was going to come with some mistakes. Okay? And the mistakes have happened. And there's no good time to make a mistake. There's no good time. We found that out. And you're going to look at the box score and you're going to say, well, you can't do that. Listen, it happens.
If you can absorb them with a half-decent defense, then you can afford to throw out a first-year starter there.
Don't run prevent 20 yards back at the end of the second half. Just saying. I think this. I think the defense is going to look a little bit better. I'm not saying it's going to be a finished product next week, but I do think that
as a consequence of the talent level they're playing, or because of adjustments.
No, because of adjustments. We'll be able to tell the difference. And I think that they're going to look better next week. I think this is a big game for Tate Johnson. It's a good opportunity for him.
Yeah.
I think that we're gonna see a lot more KVA. I think we're gonna see a lot more Jalen Sneed. I think Drake Bowen played really pretty damn well outside of the one snap that we saw him being asked to do something he can't do or shouldn't have to do, right? So listen, I've seen that movie before. I know what that looks like, but it's just a matter of just simplifying things here, trimming things back, getting back to what we know, kind of reverting back to what they had done last year. And I think that that's really kind of the messaging that's going to be reverberated throughout the locker room and in that defensive staff is like, listen, guys, let's get back to the fundamentals, all right? Remember who you are. It's going to be okay. We're going to pick up the pieces here, and this is a great opportunity to do so. You're playing Purdue at home. And listen, I think Purdue's a much better team than they were last year. I said that at the beginning of this podcast. Significantly.
Yeah. We're not seeing that kind of score this season.
Maybe not, but then again, like I also look at this and I hate to say this right now, as disappointed as I am right now, perhaps this is just the way it has to be under Marcus Freeman. Maybe it always is back against the wall. And maybe it is a program that can't accept and can't handle the responsibility that comes with success and with shine. Maybe it's because Marcus Freeman, as good of a man as he is, he struggles with that too.
Yeah.
You always take on the personality of your head coach, and maybe that's where we're at right now. And that's okay. That's okay.
Worse before it gets better, unfortunately. And
that's why he calls it the bumpy road to better.
Yeah. I think, my criticism of Kelly was we couldn't meet the moment when we got to those big games.
Right.
And, we couldn't hit that next level. And I think Freeman can do that. But what's the next step after that is not allowing this kind of stuff to happen. And he's really got to work through that and figure out whether or not he's going to let that dictate the identity of his team, or if he, as a coach, as a team, can overcome that. All right, my bad.
Well, no. I think you're spot on, and I think that at the end of the day, when we're looking at moving forward, the path, right? Well, this is a familiar spot for Irish fans. It's a week-by-week basis. Let's stack these wins up. We've been here before.
Yeah.
Hell, I bet that locker room is saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We've been here before. This is not uncharted territory. These are dark times right now. I feel it. You feel it. We all feel it. It's depressing. It sucks. But you know what? We have an opportunity in front of us. Let's make the most of it. Let's get a little bit better each week. And if we get a little bit better each week, you will end up in a situation where you only have 2 losses.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, you are making the playoffs.
And again,
you are making it.
A weak competition by 4
You
points.
are. You are.
The story works is, like you said, if you compound interest these incremental improvements over the next 10 games, and we don't see any kind of regression,
So that's what I'm looking for, and it's just it's what I'm after, and I don't know. I don't have that much confidence in that happening, but guess what? I didn't have that level of confidence going into the Purdue game last year. You remember what the spread was that Purdue game? It was 7. -7.
What was it, 63-7?
66-7.
Yeah.
66-7. And that's the thing. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I am saying this. Let's not write this off just yet. Let's not jump ship just yet, because guess what? This team plays hard, and it is a talented team. It just needs more guidance than what they're getting now, and I know that they have a coaching staff that can make that work. They can make it happen. And I still have tons of faith in Marcus Freeman being able to make it happen too. So, given the fact that we know what we know about Purdue, they're a solid team. They might go 6-6 this year. You know,
and for them, that's a massive improvement in one season.
Dude, it can't even be understated. Barry Odom might be able to make that happen. Mm-hmm. But I just think at home this fan base feels the same way we do, and they feel the same way the team does, and they're pissed off. It's going to be kind of a hostile environment. I don't know if the offense is going to be, is going to do what we've asked them to do week in and week out. I don't know that. But I do think the defense takes a step up, and I'm going to go ahead and go with this. I'm going to go with 41-17, Notre Dame over the Boilermakers. And if that happens, that is a step in the right direction. Connor, what say you?
Well, just for context beforehand, injury report, Burnett, Leonard Moore, Devontae Smith are all questionable, and Adon Schuler's out for the first half from that targeting call. I'm pretty similar to you. I have a little bit less faith in the defense, a little more faith in the offense. So I'm going 48-24. I think they're going to give up a few scores. I think they're going to give up a few field goals. I think Notre Dame puts up numbers. I mean, if we were able to score 40 against Texas A&M's defense, I pray they're able to do better. I don't want to be too audacious and say, we're going to hold Purdue to 10 or 13 points or something crazy like that with this defense until they prove it to me. With that amount of inconsistency on the defensive side, as far as these injuries, who knows who's going to play, who's not. That could be the moment where Purdue puts up some numbers. So I'm going 48-24 Notre Dame.
There you go. Now, listen, I understand this is a negative show. I hope to God we don't have to do another one like this.
We're really happy guys outside of this.
I think we're pretty optimistic dudes, but also we have to be real about the situation, and the situation is this is a team that isn't meeting the standard even close, and I know that sounds like very obvious, but I'm talking about the offense too. This is an undisciplined team. I will never forget last year, Marcus Freeman mouthing, "We are so effing undisciplined." Last year against Miami of Ohio, and that same sentiment applies here. It applies here. It just looks worse because you just ran up against two offenses that are way more dynamic than what you faced last year in the regular season. That's the reality of it. So, let's give some grace. Let's give some love, and let's give it go Irish. I think this is going to be an interesting game, and I could tell this. Listen, I know this is obvious, but we're so hungry for a win.
Yes,
we're just exhausted. I mean, you're coming off the Penn State game, which you won, and what a far cry we're at right now. But then you go into the Ohio State game, you lose that one, kind of in heartbreaking fashion. We're never really in it. You know what I mean? Like, it was like you felt like you could steal
a little bit of life, a little too late.
But then you go up against Miami, who I think is better than A&M. I think they are. You go up against A&M, and they're dynamic in their own right, and it was a matchup nightmare. I get that. I wouldn't want to face those two teams with a new defensive coordinator ever. But you did, and you also decided to hire him. So here we are. Now, it's still fixable. It's not all lost. It's not done yet. Now, that's pending the result of this game. But I think that our predictions are set in stone, and I dig those predictions. I think they're right. I think that they're on the right course, and we'll see what happens. But don't let the negativity that we just said right now, don't let the negativity that has been out there on the internet and on message boards get to you, because this isn't over yet. There is still hope. There is still life with this program and with this season. Don't give up yet, because you would have given up against that after NIU. Listen, totally different story right now, okay? It's totally different story. I get that. But it's still a dark moment that you can emerge from if you've got the content of character that is necessary to go make a run. And I know you got the talent for it. So let's see what you got. And just show us. It's show me time. And hate to come in here emotional. Hate to come here not with analytics and, stats at all times like we tried to, but God damn it. Sorry.
It's an emotion-led podcast, understandably so, because, we were pretty quiet outside of this. Typically, you and I are chopping it up during the game, after the game. I didn't have the energy, man. I was devastated, like you said, in a remarkably subdued way, and this is really the first time we've gotten to scratch those complaint itches. And, where, to your point, where the frustration comes from is because if this was a terrible team that was up against it, we had no hope in, there's almost a level of peace that you get from that. Because it's like, okay, well, we knew we saw this coming. The anger and frustration, the emotions come from the fact that this team is too good. This team has done it before. This team's too talented to let this kind of stuff happen. It's a different story if this game against the Boilermakers doesn't go the way we're predicting it to, but we've got, a week to simmer on that. Like you said, it's show me time, man. It's the ball's in their hands quite literally, and I think they're as upset and pissed off as we are. It really comes down to what is Freeman, Denbrock, and Ash going to do about that.
That's right. That's right. So we're just in wait and see mode and in show me mode. I think both of them kind of apply here, and I think they're the same thing. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this Notre Dame team, how that stadium is. I can't wait to see the energy. It's going to be interesting. So with that, I hate to leave you in a kind of cliffhanger, but we'll see you after the Purdue game. And as always, go Irish. First and Gold podcast right here. Smash that like and subscribe button. Comment. Talk to us. For the love of God. Yes. Give us some love. Listen, we love you. We love you. And we cannot wait to see what this team does. If there's one thing, Connor, before I sign off, that I want to say about this team is that I can't wait to see them after they're done playing. There's something about that. So let's hang on to that hope, because if you win this one, you take care of business, we're going to be in a different situation, right? And I want us to sing a different tone coming into next week. So with that, go Irish. First Goal Podcast. I'm Clayton Solar. He's Connor Reagan. We are signing off.
Go Irish.